Hi everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel. We've been doing these live streams on Instagram for a while now, but this is our second live stream on YouTube. So if you like our stuff, if you're interested in the company and what we're doing, please feel free to check out our channel and subscribe. In today's live stream, it's me, Mitko, the design intern, and I'm just gonna be sketching for a while some stuff on a piece of paper and just a normal pen. We've got a lot of plans for these types of live streams. We usually either do just pen and paper sketches, sometimes with markers. You would see Daniel doing a lot of these type of things, or we sometimes do Photoshop renderings, so more in-depth, more detailed design sketches. But today it's back to basics. We're just gonna do some old school sketching with just a normal pen. Today's topic is basically gonna be our Kinetik 07 car that we've developed, the prototype. If you haven't seen that, that is an electric one-off prototype designed for track use, and today I would like to develop some more ideas of how we could perhaps further alternate the design of it. Obviously, with our company, our main goal is making bespoke products for people who are into just having custom stuff built for them. So this is no series production type thing. This is a very bespoke product, and in case someone is interested in that, we would sit down with them and try to understand perhaps what precisely they would want to do with their own car. So every individual product is supposed to be unique and different from the rest, but at the same time we've got to keep our DNA. We've got to keep certain elements which are specific to our Kinetik brand. So really designing any product is just a balancing game between what our customer wants and how we can keep it bespoke and unique, but at the same time have the DNA of the company. So today I'm gonna just draw some quick sketches. As you can see, this already looks like very much like our prototype that we've built, the Kinetik 07. So I would like to keep in line with the main features of it. So we've got these interesting lights here, and the grill shape, which is unique, and if you put our little logo in here, but really that is the start of a design process. For every product we do, we first start with just little doodles on a piece of paper, and then we develop it further with Photoshop and eventually with a 3D model. And as always, if you've watched our Instagram live streams before, if you have any questions, you can leave them below and I'll try to answer them. Any questions about the company, what we do, if you have questions about the car itself or the cards that we also launched not too long ago, or the design process itself. If you're interested in that kind of stuff. Me myself, I'm still a student, studying automotive design, and I'm an intern here, and it's been a lot of fun so far. So I'm just gonna do a quick sketch, don't spend too much time on it. If you don't know about the Kinetik 07, that is strictly an EV. It's called an electric motor and a battery, but it still has these grills for cooling the batteries and for cooling the brakes, because it is supposed to be a high performance car that you can drive all day on a track without having any issues. So yes, electric cars also need grills. So yeah, that's just a quick couple minute sketch. Usually we do loads of those every time we're working on a project like that, and also from different views. So now I've drawn the front, but that doesn't give me a very good insight into how the side might look, and especially the rear. So we would do a couple more views to really flesh out the general look of it, and after that we would go into Photoshop, or we would do more detailed sketches with markers to get a more detailed view, and to agree on a general theme of the design, and so that the customer can have more understanding of how the final thing would eventually look. So I'm gonna do a quick side view sketch, and that's a good way to try to explain the proportions of the car and why they are the way they are. So if I just quickly put on the basic lines of the car, you can see that it has a very long front bonnet. It's very typical, just roadster type look. And some might say, okay, why do you need a long front bonnet when you don't have a big engine? That's a fair point, but you still need space for your luggage if you're taking any. You still need space for the batteries, for the cooling system, and at the same time here we're trying to do an emotional looking sports car. We're not trying to maximize for interior space, so that is why, and at the end of the day this is only a two-seater car, so when we try, if you're trying to make an emotional design, very dynamic, you may want to go for proportions like that, even if the drivetrain doesn't really necessitate that kind of proportion. And at the end of the day, design is supposed to be emotional, not just purely functional, but at the same time the car still has to be functional, so a compromise between the two is the best way to go forward. And we'll have this feature here with the side skirt that kicks up. We've got this little flag here. We're very proud that this car has been developed in Bulgaria, so we try to put little Easter eggs here and there that show its origin, and our company that the company our country that the company is based in. And here, as you can see, if you've seen the Kinetik 07 prototype, you can see that it doesn't really have a windshield, and here I'm drawing one with the windshield. That purely depends on the customer's preferences. If they want something that they would use more often in probably in any kind of weather, they may option for a windscreen, and that windscreen can be any type of shape really. It could be a custom design, or the customer may want a more visceral experience. If they're driving with a helmet all the time, they may not need a windscreen, or they may just need a little flap here. That is all highly customizable, and that's a great thing about bespoke products like that, compared to production cars where you can like change the color of this and that, but you can't really swap out big and major components like that. The wheels also, the wheels could be a custom design as well. Pretty much everything could be a custom design. There's no limit really to it, customizability, especially with an electric drivetrain, where you can, which doesn't take much space. You can just put on a completely different body with different proportions, and you can make it work. So that's really the beauty of an electric drivetrain, apart from all the performance benefits that you get with it. So say now I've drawn that, but I may think, I don't like how this line goes and I would like to change this and that. Well, what we do is we just do another sketch in roughly the same perspective, so we can easily compare between the two. And because you can't really strike the finished product from your first sketch, you gotta do loads of sketches and see which fits the theme and what you're trying to do best. It may seem messy, and it is, but that's the way it is. When you're starting to draw something and you don't have much of an idea what it should be, you gotta start messy and start thinking about how exactly to go about the general shape and all the little details afterwards. You can't start with a really nice detailed sketch from the get-go, because you end up with a design that you're not satisfied with, and you would want to change stuff, and then you would have to do another sketch and another after that, and it's gonna be a huge waste of time to do that, instead of doing a lot of quick ones and quickly seeing what works and what doesn't. And it does look very abstract. I'm not taking a lot of care with the proportions and every little detail. It's just more like it's the most creative part of the process, and at the end you end up with loads of sketches, and you may like different parts from each one, and you could combine them into one single design and see if that works. Go back again, change a couple of things, and that's how it goes. And even I don't quite know what the hell happens here, but that doesn't really matter. It's really what the general feel of it is, and okay, if we like that certain graphic and we like how it looks at this point of the process, then we take more time and try to really understand how we could achieve that in the real world. and if it works, great. If it doesn't, well, it doesn't. A lot of things looked really cool on sketches, but then when you try to make them into 3D, they don't quite work the same way. But that's just the way it is. Sometimes I start with the wheels because they kind of inspire the rest of the design. If I'm not quite sure what I want to do with the car, I may start with the wheels. I'll just do some quick wheels. They might not even end up being produced, but I may find a cool element from them that I can transfer into the design of the body. And on the prototype you can see that we have this really short rear overhang as well as the front overhang. They're both really short. That again comes from the EV drivetrain, where you can package all your mechanicals inside between the wheels, so you really there's no necessity for huge overhangs, and that improves weight distribution, it improves handling, and oftentimes it makes the car look better. Another very important element is the roll bar, because the car doesn't have a roof, so we've got this really technical roll bar that we have on the car for protection, but also it's a very strong element of the design. Again, it has these really straight lines. It's very sculptural, much like our logo, which again is this pyramid with chamfers on the here on the little points. So we try to incorporate that into the roll bars, and highlighting the fact that it's a two-seater, so it's got these two repeating elements. It's a very cool part of the design. And we can have little vents here at the back to let off air from the brakes. Again, hot air to easily escape from the rear, so you don't get that much brake heat. Another piece of technology that we have on the prototype is the adaptive spoiler at the back, which depending on the conditions can raise up or tilt, providing stability and braking force. And I also like doing a dead-on front view because it really captures the face of the car, and you can really play with the stance because it's generally one of the most important parts of car design is the front and what impression that gives. And we have the mirrors. They're also a very important part of the design. It's just very sculptural and much like the roll bar. Just very quick shading to try to explain the form in the most basic way. I'm not dealing with colors, I'm not thinking too much. When you start using markers, you would spend much more time on it, and it will look a lot better and it will be more readable, but it's really a balancing act between speed and efficiency and readability. The main point of a design sketch is to understand and to communicate the forms and the graphics that you're trying to accomplish, and most times it just needs to be readable and easily understandable. It doesn't have to be pretty, or doesn't ideally it shouldn't take much time to do one sketch, because that might end up being a design that you don't even use. and you would have wasted much more time. The lights are also very important. They're like the eyes, so we can again do various designs. It could be totally unique and customizable. It doesn't have to be off the shelf. And just a very quick shadow really helps to plant the car on the surface. Otherwise, may end up looking a bit like it's flying. You always want to plant it so it looks stable, and it looks more dynamic, and really shows off the stance. I also like going into a bit more perspective. So these sketches up until now, they are quite flat. There's almost no perspective in them. This one a little bit, but still it's a very flat view. But if we go into a bit more perspective like that, a little more depth, you could get a better sense of the volumes. So we've got the wheels. When I'm drawing it from the back, I usually like making the front wheel turn, so it's like it's turning. It makes it look more like it's moving, so it's not just a static image. It gives it a little bit of makes it a little more interesting. And what I like in this view is you can really show the just the curvature of things like the wheel arches, and if you want to make it look more muscular, which you can't really convey properly in a flat image like that. Here we have the seats. Seats are also bespoke. The interior is just a whole another game. We won't get into too much detail today because that's just totally different theme and it deserves videos on its own. But the seats are kind of part of the exterior design as well, because the car doesn't have a roof, and you can see them very clearly, and they are carbon specifically designed to the owner's specifications, body type, and preferences. And as you can see here, you can barely distinguish what is going on. There's a lot of things on top of each other, but that's okay, because on a design sketch you've got your main focus, which is mainly around this area on that sketch. This is where it's clear, and where your eye should be drawn to, and here it's more like a filler. Is just to fill in the background. It doesn't really tell much about the design, but that's okay, because especially in this area here, when it comes to the interior and stuff, on such a small sketch, it would be hard to put in all the details, and it would be very time intensive, and personally I would prefer to do it in Photoshop to get the maximum detail as possible, but that is not the main point in this particular sketch. I mean, you can even see that it doesn't fit on the paper, but that's fine. the value of this sketch really would be around the back here. Some ideas about how the wheel arch would flow, maybe the tail light design, what we could do with it, but even that, this is very primitive and not well defined. And with these type of sketches you can just keep going on and on trying to add details, but at some point it just isn't worth it spending more time on it. Because the point is to spend as little time as possible, and if you don't, it's kind of losing its value. Now we'll do one more to fill in the page here. I do like the slightly side view, but you could still see a little bit of the front, so it gives a good impression of the overall shape. And we have this really strong feature line here on the side where it comes to a point and then it comes back. It's like a triangle which cuts into the rear quarter panel, which is kind of unique of our brand, and we would like to keep it into our future products in one way or another. Obviously these features, they're up to interpretation and they do change with different projects. They shall not stay the same, but they should be recognizable. Here we can have some sort of a different roll bar. And I could just quickly sketch out a detail if I wanna think about maybe the headlights or stuff like that. I don't have to sketch out a completely different view of the whole car. I could just do a little detail sketch of the basic form of it. Again, that gives you a little impression of how it would actually look on the actual thing, but it's a quick way to think about a specific detail. So I think that will be it for today. Thank you so much for joining me on this live stream. They're a lot of fun to do for me. If you have any suggestions what we could do, please feel free to leave them below. If you have any questions about our design process, about really anything that we do, about our company, please check us out on social media. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, obviously YouTube here. You can check us out on our website, Kinetik Automotive, and feel free to ask a question in the comments or write to us directly. We would love to hear from you. And really, yeah, we're just petrol heads that we like doing stuff with cars, and if you're into that type of stuff, please join us on our journey. Thank you and good night.